Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm thankful to Didi because she has made my task very easy. So you'll see that there is a very natural progression from what Didi has told you and what I'm going to say. But I'll focus more on the implementation. And also, I would like to really spend some time on the role of women, the women collectives, women champions, women heroes in leading this process. So it's a program of the women, for the women, and more important, by the women. So this is quite clear that what we are doing is basically learning from Mother Nature, and Didi explained very clearly the role of the microbes, the soil aggregates, the nutrient cycling. Basically, all this is what we are learning from Mother Nature. And so I believe, and this is something which, repeatedly Walter Yana has been telling us that Mother Nature is perfect. We need to learn. So what we are doing in Andhra Pradesh is basically trying to understand Mother Nature and learn the critical principles from that and take it to farmers, small and marginal farmers. So based on last 7-8 years of our work on ground and also learning from Walter Yana, very eminent scientists like Christine Jones, Elaine Ingham, learning from Didi. So based and learning mostly from our farmers, we have looked at what are those principles which we can take to farmers. And the first and foremost is to keep the soil covered with crops 365 days of the year. And as Didi showed in her slides, the root exudates, the interaction between the root exudates, the microbes, the minerals is really the essence of life. So the maximization of photosynthesis is critical, and that happens when you keep the soil covered with crops. The second principle being diverse crops are essential, 15, 20, more than that. Also include trees wherever possible. Then third principle is to keep the soil covered with crop residues, especially when living plants are not possible. And minimum tillage, minimal disturbance of soils. And what we are beginning to understand is the importance of farmers' own seeds rather than seeds purchased from the market, and that indigenous seeds are preferred. So this is new knowledge, and our farmers are very enthusiastic about this integration of animals into farming. And then the role of biostimulants as catalysts to trigger soil biology and pest management, which is such a serious problem everywhere. But in our case, we deal with this in a very holistic manner, both through better agronomical practices and, if required, botanical pesticides. The last principle is on a negative list, which says that no synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, weedicides, essentially no biocides. So these are the 9 principles. However, the practices are very diverse from within the state, from region to region, but all of them encompass these principles. So crop diversity is very important. So throughout the year, farmers keep diverse crops, and one season after the other, the cropping pattern changes. So we have a lot of emphasis on crop geometry, what will be the border crops, intercrops, trap crops, relay crops. So this is very knowledge intensive agriculture. And this is the role of biostimulants. And they're very important, very critical to the entire natural farming program. So this is where the seed is coated with a biological inoculum. This is called Bijamrut. So it's cow dung, cow urine, lime, a bit of chemical-free soil mixed with water, fermented for 12 hours. And this liquid is sprinkled on the seeds. This is, applicable for all the seeds. And this is a solid inoculum, which is also made from cow dung, cow urine, molasses or jaggery, lentil flour, and handful uncontaminated soil. It's mixed, fermented for 5 to 7 days, and then it has a shelf life of 3 months, 6 months. So this is basically applied at the time of sowing. So initially the farmers used to broadcast this, but then, we learned from Walter how important bioinoculum and seed are. So we now apply this along with the seed. Then there's a liquid inoculum, which is applied when the plants have germinated. So alternately, either to the root zone or used as a foliar spray. And then when the crop is at a flowering stage, there are different kinds of biostimulants to promote better flowering, better fruiting. And then for this is another very important innovation triggered by learnings from Walter Jena. So this is for dry sowing, so that we are not dependent on the rainfall, not dependent on the monsoons. So we can sow anytime. So this is a very new innovation being used only for the last 3 years. So this is a seed pelletization, and it's very easy. Everybody, our farmers can learn it very quickly and can do it. So the seeds are coated with the, as I mentioned, the seed inoculum, seed treatment inoculum, Bijamrut, powdered clay, then powdered Ganajivamrut, and finally with ash. And in between, water is sprinkled. Once you do this, you can sow the seed in dry soil, and the seed is viable for 3 months, 4 months. So whenever there is a shower, the seeds germinate. So this has great, it's a game changer in those fields which are dependent on, which are rain-fed. So farmers are able to complete their sowing even before the monsoon, so that they're not wasting even a single drop of rain. And this is again another recent practice of mulching, covering the soil, because the seeds are there. The pelleted seeds have been put in this soil, and farmers, depending on the condition of the soil, they do it once or twice or 3 times in a year. And this is biopesticides, botanical pesticides made from whatever leaves are locally available. We have more than 200 formulations. So as you can see, you have crop diversity, you have crops 365 days of the year, and then you have a biological, I would call it a biological armor, right from seed treatment, then at the time of sowing, after germination, during flowering, fruiting, and if there's any pest attack. So there's a very close relationship between the soil microbes and the plant growth. And these are all the triggers or catalysts to enable a better relationship between the microbiome, soil microbiome, and the plants. And this is a very important process, but our farmers learn this quickly, but the knowledge increases, with practice. And that's why I say this is not input intensive agriculture, but knowledge intensive agriculture. This is the scaling up. We started with around 40,000 farmers in 2016-17 in 700 villages. In the year that close now, 22-23, we're able to take this to close to 900,000 farmers. And we are now present in 27% villages of the state. 14% farmers of the state are in this transition movement, and we're covering an area of 6.3%. So this is a very rapid scaling up, and we do understand that a farmer's transition takes 3 to 5 years, and we don't offer any cash incentives during the transition, and neither do we make any promises that farmers will get market premia after the transition. And you must also remember that 86% of our farmers are small and marginal farmers. So our idea is to take this to all the farmers in the state, and in the next 8 or 10 years, take it to all the 6 million farmers and 2 million landless farm workers. And in terms of results, unlike, people saying that there's a yield penalty and then there's a threat to food security. So we do this independent crop cutting experiments to compare fields with natural farming and fields with conventional agriculture. And on this side are our major crops: paddy, rice, groundnut, cotton, red gram is a lentil, chilies, ragi is a millet, and tomatoes. So these top 5 crops are, in terms of area, very significant. Paddy accounts for 40% of the area, groundnut for 11%, cotton is 13%. So all these are major crops. And you can see most of them, the yields in natural farming are higher than the conventional agriculture. The cost of cultivation is reduced in all the cases, and the net incomes are significantly very high. So this is for the Kharif season, that means the rainy season, and the second season, the winter season. You can see the results are similar. So economically, there is no penalty. Farmers get better results in terms of investments and the net returns on that. And this is very, very important. We find that water requirement in agriculture comes down. So natural farming, this is a very large scale study of our best practicing farmers. This is not the average. These are our best practicing farmers, and they are reporting around 50% reduction in water. Now we have posed it for external independent studies to look at this and tell us what are the savings on an average. Then the crops are more resilient to flooding. And this is a example of where farmers are able to take crops throughout the year through what we call as 365 days green cover. This is a woman farmer. She's also self-help group member, and also she's a master farmer. So she's a trainer. She trains other farmers. So this is her rain-fed land. And as you can see, she did the sowing in summer, hot summer, April 2021. And germination happened in 1 week because there was a pre-monsoon. There was a rainfall before the monsoon. She has sown 22 kinds of seeds. And this photograph is in hot summer in May, and there are no crops anywhere. And this is her vegetable crop in February. And this is resilience through this kind of farming. As you can see, she's getting income from about 14, 15 crops, and she's getting income throughout the year. And this is completely unheard of, because normally, farmers get income from 1 or 2 crops. And in this district, it's a semi-arid district, rainfall of 450 to 550 millimeters. So even getting one crop is difficult. However, she's got 3 crops. The income that she has got is at least 5 to 6 times higher than her than her neighbors who are practicing conventional agriculture. And the farming, natural farming crops are more resilient to pest attack. So as you can see, you have economic returns, resilience returns, and then what you can see here is improved biodiversity. We see pollinators coming back, birds, then earthworms. So you have benefits to the farmers, to the soil, to the environment. Farmers see greater resilience to excess rains or lack of rains. But next couple of slides are essentially on the how we have taken this knowledge to farmers, how could we scale it up so rapidly. So we call them as our critical pillars of scaling up. Government support is very important, and this program is led by government, but government in partnership with people, in partnership with women's collectives. So that is the role of government, to work with people, provide the resources, and also do the monitoring, program management. Knowledge, I already discussed the various principles and practices, but we continuously learn. We feel that there's so much knowledge which is being generated by the farmers, knowledge being generated outside. What we have learned from Walter Jena is enormous. And again, we have partnerships with the World Agroforestry Center, University of Reading, and in USA, we are working with the Tufts University, Woodwell Research Institute, to look at the impact and also to learn from other places. So knowledge is very critical, but knowledge which is in harmony with nature. But at the ground level, in terms of implementation, in terms of leading the program, inspiring us, the role of women, the women self-help groups and their federations is critical. And I think there's a session later on by Swati on how this women self-help group movement originated in Andhra Pradesh. But I just want to say that this is something which is about 25 years now, and 90% women in rural areas of Andhra Pradesh are organized into women self-help groups, federations of women self-help groups at the village level, next level federation at a higher order, mandal samakhyas, and then at the district level. So this is an incredible force which is leading the program. And then the farmer to farmer extension system is another critical pillar. So when I started the program, we had I had picked up around 800 to 900 such champion farmers from across the state. But today I have developed, the program has developed, nurtured 10,000 champion farmers. So from now onwards, every year we'll be able to generate 5,000 to 10,000 such champion farmers. And each champion farmer is responsible for 100 farmers, so that they get this hand-holding support that is required in making the transformation. And the other pillar is a facilitating organization to make this happen. So government plays this role. There are civil society organizations, but most important of them are the women self-help groups and their federations, farmers organizations. And the sixth pillar is collaborations with global and national institutions, scientific experts. This is the women power in the villages that we are working. So close to 2 million women are working with us in around 8,000 village federations, 200,000 women self-help groups. So these women's collectives do multiple things. They are responsible, or they take the leadership for program management. They work together, so collective action, learn from each other. They prepare plans, and most important is they take care of the most vulnerable. So that's a norm in the group, that whoever is most vulnerable needs to be supported, and that makes it anchored, makes it rooted to serve those who require it most. And this is a training in a women's self-help group. Again, one more training. They're preparing the inputs, the biological inputs together. Another meeting where they're doing their savings and loaning operations. This is a farmer field school. And then we have a strategy for the landless poor. So homestead gardens, more than 230,000 such landless poor households have come together to improve their nutrition levels through these nutrition gardens. We're also working to improve the returns from this and to enable them to take more area on lease through their women self-help groups. We also have a very important program. This is right now a pilot in about 130 villages, where we are focusing on, pregnant women, nursing mothers, and mothers of small children, so that they eat chemical-free food during pregnancy and then when they're taking care of the children. So we have, young professionals living in the villages with the farmers, with working with the women self-help groups, promoting nutrition gardens, a farmer nutrition school. They run campaigns. They partner with schools, with preschools, to ensure that most vulnerable groups are able to get chemical-free and nutrition-rich and diverse food items. So the food basket has more than 4 to 5 food groups. So we have the village federations. VO means a village organization or village SHG federation. So every self-help group has 2 health subcommittee members who then look into what kind of food are we eating, what changes are required. So as I mentioned, the pregnant woman, nursing mother, and mothers of children up to 3 years. So they are called 1,000-day, is a technical term, 1,000-day beneficiaries. So this is the support that's being extended to them in terms of nutrition counseling, nutri gardens, then preparation of different recipes. So this is a very important intervention, because we are finding tremendous improvements in the health of women, health of children, when they are born, and even the mental development, because the mothers are aware that the children should not, they and the children should not consume any food with pesticides or with any chemicals. And this is a intervention very close to my heart. And then, as I told you, the farmer heroes are central to the program. And we have 10,000 such farmer heroes. And they have very high credibility, because they are best practitioners and they're speaking from their experience. They're able to do troubleshooting. This is a very important slide, just to show that this is something that doesn't happen overnight. Typically in our village, we have close to 500 farmers, 450 farmers. And our idea is to, during the project period, say about 8 years, 10 years, we should be able to convert 85% farmers. Then that enables, that any case ensures that remaining people change. So when we enter a village, our idea is to cover all farmers, also cover the landless poor, those who don't have any lands, and work with them, so that all practices are implemented. Because in the first year, they learn certain things and they get some result. But some other farmers have got better results, so they try to understand what is the problem with what they have done. So next year they are able to put in more practices. So like this is an iterative process. And as I told you, we have a lot of research studies on natural farming, and this will be, continuous. And we are setting up a academy for agroecology research and learning. This is supported by Government of Germany and also by state government and Government of India. And the idea is to develop capacities of farmers. So we're initiating a program called a Farmer Scientist Program. Why can't we recognize the fact that every farmer is a scientist? So this is a step in that direction. We'll be starting the courses quickly. So I just want to conclude. This is my favorite quote, which says that we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. And before I close, I just want to show a small video which explains the role of working in harmony with nature in harnessing a very different source of water. And this is something which we were inspired by Walter Yana's lectures, and DD is also very much responsible for that because these lectures were delivered in Vermont. So this is to show how farming enables, plants to grow with very little water. So this is a maize field in hot summer, and as you can see, there are no crops anywhere else in the vicinity. You can see in the entire horizon, there is no other crop. And we'll also see, what is special about this crop, apart from the fact that, there are no chemicals applied. But this is a, corn crop, but there's tremendous biodiversity within the corn crop. The farmers are taking tomatoes in corn, very healthy corn crop, 3 or 4 cobs per plant. There are pulse crops. Yeah. So this is what we call as 365 days green cover and A grade models. So this was initiated in a district called Anantapuram, which is a drought prone district. And last 17 out of 20 years have been drought years there. So the farmers, when the crop fails, typically they migrate to urban areas. But this particular natural farming with this additionality of pelleting seeds, pelleted seeds, mulching is enabling them to harness water uh, both below the soil and water from the air. We still do not know the exact science. We are, looking for scientific collaborations to establish this. But the results we are getting are incredible. We're able to restore degraded lands. And where one crop used to grow, farmers are able to take 3 crops. And in a single field, as you saw in the corn field, they are able to take another 4 or 5 crops along with the corn. So tomatoes, beans. So 1 acre of land is now actually becoming equal to 3 to 5 acres. So I just want to conclude saying that, once we follow nature's principles, then the results will surprise us. Thank you.